G'day, I'm Paul. So Ford has been busy. They're padding out the Everest range bit by bit. It's kind of mimicking the Ranger range with all of the names, like the new Everest Wildtrak here. The only thing that's missing at the moment is the Everest Raptor. So hopefully they're working on that. Now, Everest Wildtrak is basically one step down from the Platinum. It's a new version of this that gives you just a little bit more on top of the Sport, but doesn't sort of go too crazy with all the luxury items. So this is priced at just under $75,000. In fact, the whole Ford Everest range is going up in price from the 1st of Jan 2024. So they are constantly just putting their prices up, like a lot of other manufacturers at the moment. If that's too expensive, the entire range kicks off at a little under $54,000. So this competes with things like the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado. There's a new one of those coming soon as well. The Isuzu MU-X, the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. It's that size of vehicle, 7-seat, off-road capable. Today we're going to do a detailed review of the Everest Wildtrak. So if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes that are on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon as well, because that's going to tell you every single time we review yet another Everest variant. Now, Ford Everest, what's it all about? What does it look like? So you can pick a number of different colors. This one here is called Luxe Yellow, and it's unique to the Wildtrak. Optional colors are $700. The Wildtrak comes with, as you can tell, Wildtrak lettering there on the bonnet, so this helps differentiate it from other Everest models. You also get a different looking grille there as well, again mimicking the Ford Ranger in terms of appearance. LED headlights, but no matrix LED. That is reserved for the top spec Platinum model. In fact, there are quite a few little bits and pieces that are only reserved for the Platinum, and I'll try and run you through as many of those as I can as we sort of walk around the car. Outside of that, it looks pretty similar to the rest of the Everest range. Around the side here, you've got two different tyre options. You've got an all-terrain tyre, which is what's fitted to this vehicle. That comes with 18-inch alloy wheels, or the standard option is a 20-inch. This is a no-cost option, so it means that you can just tick a box and they'll delete the 20s, put your 18s on, and you get all-terrains as well. This is a V6, it's the only engine that's available in the Wildtrak. So in addition to the wheel arch protectors just there, you get that sort of graphite colour on the wing mirrors as well. Now, Ford's saying that this is a steel side step on the Wildtrak. Yeah, I guess it's kind of steel, but still has that plastic lid on it, which I'm not a huge fan of because that'll scuff and mark quite easily. Another Wildtrak badge here on the side. You've got some privacy glass, roof railing. Come around to the back with me. Another Wildtrak badge. Everest along the top there. LED tail lights, or partial LED tail lights. That indicator is a halogen indicator. I don't know why they do that, but anyway, it is. Brake light integrated into here. 3.5 ton brake to towing capacity with a pretty reasonable GCM as well. It means that if you are loaded up to 3,500 kilo, you still have just under 300 kilos worth of payload to work with inside the cabin. Not amazing, but it's still not terrible. And a little protector here as well when you're loading stuff into the boot. So let me know what you reckon about the design of the Everest Wildtrak. Do you reckon it is the pick of the bunch? Let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. So we're inside the Everest Wildtrak. We'll start off with the key. So you've got unlock, lock, boot, and then the Ford logo on the back. It's a proximity sensing key, so you can leave that in your pocket. You've got a push button start just over here on the steering wheel. Now, in terms of design changes for the Wildtrak, you'll notice this sort of orange stitching throughout the car, including along here. I also like the fact that you've got Everest sticking out of the dashboard there as well. It is a really nice setup, and then Wildtrak over here on the seat as well. So this is all part of the Wildtrak package and the stuff that they add to it. In terms of the rest of it, you've got the big infotainment screen here. This has actually been updated, so I'll run you through those changes in just a second. And outside of that, the rest is pretty straightforward. You've got your little chip holder down there, cup holders in the dashboard and all that sort of stuff. In terms of your touch points, so that's soft to the touch, soft on the door as well. How soft is it? We've got our gyrometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you do want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, look at the link in the description below. Now, build quality. What is that like? Yeah, a little bit wonky there in the center, but outside of that, it's all pretty good. And this is our door slam noise. Now, infotainment. It's a 12-inch display, so a vertical stack there. The appearance, as in it being a screen and it being that size, hasn't changed since Everest launched. But importantly, the software has changed. So basically all the new cars they're producing now have this version of Sync 4. And in addition to that, they're updating all of the existing customers with this as well. So my Raptor still doesn't have this, but my understanding is that it will come. This is significantly better. I think they just deleted everything and started again. This bottom section is pretty much the same, but rest of this layout is different, and it's also much faster as well. So when you're clicking on some of these menus, it is far more responsive than when it was. So I am glad that they actually took that feedback on board and changed some of this so that it actually works significantly better than it used to. So that's great. In terms of what's built into here, so radio is AM, FM and DAB digital radio, and that's all plumbed through a 10-speaker sound system. The sound system is good, but not amazing. And then you also have smartphone mirroring in the form of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Both of those are wireless. So this is Apple CarPlay. Nice and easy, very straightforward. And in fact, I can't see an option now to supersize that. There used to be a button there you could press that would change the size of that, but it's just the one size now by the look of it. And this is what Android Auto looks like. Nice and quick as well. No dramas there. Now, you do have a screen ahead of the driver. This is a little bit disappointing. So only the Platinum gets the big 12.3-inch display. This instead gets the smaller 8-inch version. And I think this just looks a little bit cheap in comparison. I don't know. It is a lot more to step up to the Platinum, but to me, it provides a much more premium experience. So being a family car, safety is important. You've got autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You've got an auto dimming rear vision mirror, a blind spot monitor built into that wing mirror. It's a big wing mirror as well. You've got front and rear parking sensors, rear cross traffic alert. You've got radar cruise control with a lane keeping assistant. We have actually tested that before in Everest, and it actually works surprisingly well. This new suite of sort of autonomy features in the Ford Ranger and Everest actually work really well. So it passed in lane 1, 2 and 3, our 3 outer lanes on the bowl. So pretty impressed with that. Yeah, front and rear parking sensors and a 360 camera. I'll show you what it looks like. So you've got a little shortcut button up here now. There it is there. So quality of that is okay, but not amazing. You can see it's a bit sort of washed out at the top there, and the top-down view isn't exactly incredible either, but you can sort of select little bits that you want to look at as you go. Not good, but not terrible. And this is what the horn sounds like. Moving on to practicality, and we'll start off with your connectivity. So you've got USB-A port down there, a USB-C port. You've also got a 12-volt outlet here in the center console, a USB-A outlet up the top here for your dash camera. Wireless phone charger down the bottom there, so you can pop your phone down there. Also fits nicely in the chip holder as well. Bottle storage, so fits nicely in there. Some big teeth holding it in. We'll try a big bottle in the door. Beautiful, plenty of room there. You also have cup holders up the top here. These are fantastic for keeping your coffee and stuff like that in, one on both sides. You've got a big center console here with a coin tray up the top. You've got 2 sets of glove boxes, one down the bottom there, an additional one just there, and then a sunglasses holder up the top. So moving on to comfort, you have dual zone automatic climate control. You have heated and cooled seats, which is good news. Electric seat adjustment for both the driver and front passenger. You also have seat memory for the driver, so you can go forwards or backwards. Your backrest can go forwards and backwards. Front of the seat can go up. Back of the seat can go up, and then you also have electric lumbar adjustment as well. Steering wheel offers both tilt and reach adjustment, and on our reach test, all of this stuff is easy to reach while you're driving. Now, second and third rows. We've reviewed so many of these that I thought I'd just run you through the second and third rows so you can just have a look at some vision for yourself. So, second row, you have a decent amount of room there for adults. Second row also slides forwards and backwards to give you more room for the third row. In addition to that, you've got USB charging ports, air vents at the top of the cabin, so that gives you good coverage on your face. And if you do have baby seats in there, gives you good directional airflow for the baby seats as well. You've got 2 ISOFIX points on the 2 outboard seats in the second row with 3 top tether points. You also have 2 top tether points in the third row as well, so plenty of room there to fit the kids. You've got more of that orange coloured stitching on the doors as well, and a premium feel in that second row. Third row, not really a space for adults, but it will be perfectly fine for kids. In terms of cargo storage, you've got just over 250 litres available behind the third row, with the third row up. Drop the third row and that space expands to 898 litres. And finally, if you drop the second and third row, you have just under 2,000 litres of cargo space available with a powered tailgate as well, and a full-size spare tyre. So it is comprehensively equipped and ready for family duties. Okay, so we've just hit the road in the Everest Wildtrak. So I mentioned earlier, this is exclusively powered by the V6 diesel engine, so no 4-cylinder available here. And that means you're getting a 3-litre turbocharged V6 diesel, makes 184 kilowatts of power and 600 newton meters of torque, and it's all mated to 10-speed automatic transmission. So what does all that feel like behind the wheel? Give it a little punch here. Yeah, good. It feels very nice and strong. This engine actually is quite flexible for this package. It's good for off-roading, but it's also really good just to get up and move when you need it to. Just gives you that extra flexibility that the 4-cylinder doesn't. So yeah, it's a really good pairing with this vehicle, and you can run it through a number of different drive modes. So you've got 2-wheel drive high range just for regular driving. That decouples the front axle, saves you a bit of fuel, but you can stick it in 4-wheel drive automatic, and that will basically allow the vehicle to shuffle torque between the front and rear axle as required. Uses a bit more fuel, but unlike the Fortuner and MUX, you can't run those in 4-wheel drive high range unless you're on a sealed surface. Only this and the Pajero Sport offer the ability to drive in 4-wheel drive high range on sealed surfaces, which is great news. Now, fuel economy comes in at just under 9 litres per 100 Ks, but today we've been doing, we had to kind of change things up a little bit, do all our faster driving in the morning, so you can see there we're averaging 10.9, so it is higher than the claim. Had we have not done any of that, it'd probably be closer to 10 or even 9 litres per 100 Ks. So it is actually pretty reasonable in terms of fuel economy, especially if you're going to be doing touring and a lot of highway driving. Okay, let's dial up the speed. We're going to get up to 130 Ks an hour. This is the type of car that people travel around Australia in, do a lot of regional miles. I want to see what it's like on our sine wave here, which simulates some of the dodgy roads we have around Australia, and we do it at 130 Ks an hour to see how the car copes with it. So here we go, there's 130 there, maximum speed limit in Australia. That is very bouncy. Yeah, so body control isn't fantastic there. It sort of really has a lot of hang time up the top. You're going to notice that if you're overtaking, if you're towing, that kind of thing, it is quite softly sprung. So it means the ride is nice in and around the city, but if you are doing sort of country driving and you encounter that type of terrain, it is going to feel quite bouncy. Now let's head through the dodgiest road in Australia. This is built primarily to see what cars are like on shoddy roads. We do this at 90 Ks an hour. You can hear in my voice that it's kind of throwing the car around a little bit. We have a high frequency sound wave here as well, just to see what it's like with those constant dips in the road. Yeah, we're just floating over that because it doesn't really have enough time to get rebound to get the tyres back in, so it's really just skating along the top of those grooves. So yeah, you do notice the softness of the ride. It's great for driving in and around the city, but yeah, I think if you're going to be towing and doing a lot of touring outside of the city, it is worth looking at an aftermarket suspension option just to settle things down a little. Now, drive modes. Most of these are off-road drive modes. You don't really have a great deal there for on-road. You've got towing and eco, but rest is off-road. So we'll go for a little punt around our track. This car obviously isn't built for doing a racetrack or anything like that, but we do all the cars back-to-back in the same way to see what they feel like once you do sort of pick up a little bit of pace. So yeah, look, as predicted, this has a fair bit of body roll. Given the soft ride is predominantly built for comfort, you do sort of notice the body rolling a bit when you get to those outer edges. But that V6 is really keen. It offers a good slab of torque. 600 newton meters is nothing to sneeze at. And surprisingly, this is fairly dynamic for such a big vehicle that has an off-road focus. I think if you compare this back-to-back with things like MUX Pajero Sport, this is definitely the sportiest of the bunch there in terms of how it feels. So yeah, look, quite impressed with the performance here from Everest Wildtrak. Just on road noise, it is quiet inside the cabin, but it could be quieter, and that's partly thanks to the all-terrains. They do make a fair bit of a racket, and when you are on coarse chip surfaces, it can be a little noisy inside the cabin. We ran it up against our calibrated sound meter, and this is how it all sort of went down, but it's not terrible. It's just something you do notice in comparison to the more highway-oriented 20-inch tyre. Now, in terms of visibility, you can see clearly down the front of the car there. It's a great commanding seating position that gives you a good look down the front there and also out the sides. Big wing mirrors with a blind spot monitor built in. Visibility out the back is good as well, but just keep in mind if you do have that third row up, it will be impeded a little bit as you look out the back window. Now, let's chat about off-road. We actually did a lot of off-road testing in both the 4-cylinder and V6 version of Everest. If you do want to check out those videos, have a look at the links in the description below. We won't do off-roading with this today. We've already done it all before, so we're not going to learn anything new. So check out the links in the description below. One of the cars that we tested there had all terrains, the other one had highway terrain, so it'll give you all of the information that you need. Okay, so performance testing time. Before we jump into that, let's chat about Help Me CarExpert. So if you want to get a great deal on a car and you want it to be from a dealer that we vet and that we endorse, just head to Google and type in Help Me CarExpert. We'll connect you with one of our approved dealers. You'll be able to talk to our concierge team as well to ask any questions. They're based here in Australia and we will connect you and find a dealer that has a car in stock for you. Okie dokie, so let's do some performance testing. There are no sort of 0 to 100 times, so I'm going to pop it into 4A, turn traction control off. We'll go all the way through to 120, see how it goes. Right, nice and strong off the line. All right, there's 100 and 120. Okie dokie. So we will just come to a stop. So 0 to 100, 8.87 seconds, which is not too bad. 80 to 120, 6.72 seconds. So yeah, those figures aren't exactly setting the world on fire. But I think it is worth keeping in mind that if you step down to the 4-cylinder diesel, it's going to be even slower still. So if you are towing or carrying a fair bit of load in this, which I suspect most people will with families and stuff, it is worth just making sure you go for the V6 just to give you that extra headroom. Now, how quickly does the Everest pull up from 100? Let's get a bit of pace on board, slam down the anchors and see how he goes. So it's about 100. Oh, a little bit of a dive there as it was sort of coming in to stop. Let's see how that went. So 100 to 0, 3.36 seconds, 46.97 metres. So not exactly an amazing stopping distance. That's going to be partly thanks to those all-terrains. And yeah, you'll see in the vision when I hit the brakes, it had to settle a little before it gave me that full braking power again. So yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of room for improvement there. A lot of that comes to soft suspension too, because it dives really quickly. We saw with the Tank 300 that it was diving really quickly and it lifted the rear wheels off the ground. So there's a bit of a balancing act with vehicle dynamics on a car like this, that you need to be able to stop quickly, but you need to then also not have the rear lift. So that it is quite a complex procedure. And now, our reverse acceleration test. Here we go. Nice and strong there. 38 kilometres an hour. So the Ford Everest Wildtrak, what do we reckon? Look, this builds on the concept of the Everest, which overall is a great vehicle. You're getting the luxe yellow colour, you're getting the Wildtrak trimming. But to me, I reckon the Sport is the better value. And in addition to that, you kind of miss out on some of the stuff that I would want to have on this spec, like the big LCD display inside the cabin, which means you should either just go for the Platinum, which gets you everything, all the bells and whistles, costs extra, but you're getting everything there, or you should just go for the Sport, which you can get with this engine anyway, and it has the same capability as this does. So to me, it's I guess a good model if you like that sort of look, but I think if you want to be sensible about your money, either Sport, and if you do want all of the bells and whistles, just go straight for the Platinum. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Have you bought one of these? Did you get it in that color? I'm keen for your feedback. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But until next time, take it easy.